Alright, Alex 166. Today we're working on the MGB. Got the top of the fender here. Got a part I made. Just cleaned it up. It has a very nice reverse curve on the top of this fender. Very beautiful shape fender here. So the goal with metal shaping is you always want to make the panel bigger than you actually need. This way, when you're fitting and trimming and all that, if there's ever like a little bit of a discrepancy, you have a little extra material. You can make some fine line tape. This is quarter from Endasa. Come in here. Like I said, when you want to get a rounded corner, you don't want to weld. You don't want to weld with a corner, a hard corner. You want a round corner. It transfers the heat better. And the better you can do that, it's easier to finish the weld when it's rounded out, opposed to a hard corner. Generates too much heat in that corner, creates a lot of warping, makes for a harder finish. If you wanted to, you can take a marker and just transfer that right over, riding along the edge. Like I said, this doesn't have to be exact right now. When we lay this panel on the fender and we actually trim it, that line has to be exact. But this is just a rough estimate of where we want the metal to be trimmed. Again, we have a lot of extra material here, so. There you can see it's laid out, it's marked. I'm going to fill this tape now. You can see that in the video. Okay. So ready to trim. A little snap-on nibbler. We're just going to draw some lines. Very easy to use, all handheld. Make sure I get a good angle for you guys. Makes that light work. Nice light work out of it. Go around the corners. We're gonna file this down and make this straight. So it's pretty straight. We just want to straighten it a little bit more. Take your file one direction. Come right over the top. Okay, once that's all set, you get that all filed through. Take your little deburr tool. You want to deburr all these edges. I'm gonna make them nice and smooth. You're getting hung up. Anything you get hung up while you're welding. When it's all said and done, this is going to be cleaned thoroughly for the TIG weld process. Next step here is, this is where the rot area is. Right here. Majority of the rot, right? So like I said, that's the area of rot. That's the piece that we have made that's oversized, which is good. So we want to just true it into where the profile is. Make sure we have all true panels here. Right there. Good. And what we're going to do is we're just going to make indicator marks so we know where it's supposed to sit. So we're going back to the same spot. Now what next step is I'm drill 2 holes there, put in some clecos, then we'll scribe this perfectly. So if you try to scribe it while holding it on, like, you can do it, but just doing that moves it around. So just cleco it in so it's exactly where it needs to be, and then we'll scribe a nice clean line, and then we'll trim it out and clean the back side, do all that jazz. get it ready for welding. Here are Cleco pliers. Okay, look at that. We have, this is called the Cleco. Okay, so essentially this is a temporary rivet. What happens is here is you take the collar of the Cleco itself, set it into the plier, press on the back side. Show you what happens. So this is the Cleco thickness right now. When you compress the pliers, it expands and gets skinnier, right? When you let it go, it thickens up. So what's going to happen is it's going to go through both panels. It's going to go through both panels. I release it and it squeezes them and creates a temporary rivet. And the great thing about this is every time you put this back in the same place, you're not going to have any problems of unscrewing, screwing, the screw walking on you a little bit, the hole getting a little wider, not fitting properly. This is always going to go back to where it was. And it's going to sit true and perfect. What we'll do is get one set, mark up so match up to the lines again, set one in, just release it just like that, simple as that. Drill a second hole. We'll get the second one set in here. Like that, be on the collar, squeeze it in. See how that's sitting. Stay nice and tight. Tighten here. Looking good. Check it out down there. So one thing I'm noticing on this panel right now, which is not the end of the world. So one thing I'm noticing is right here. This little area right here, we got to bring it to the kick shrinker stretcher. We're going to tack it down here on this flange, and it's going to suck. We want to suck this down the slightest bit. Just needs a little bit, but that's the only thing I see wrong with this panel so far. Everything else, the light lines look good in here. The valley's good, right? Matches the contour of the panels, really nice. So yeah, that's the only thing I see there, but easy. So this tool right here is called the kick stretcher. Because down here, you're kicking, and what's happening, take a look in here, zoom you in. Every time you push this pedal down, depending on the teeth you have in, presses down, and so they're going to pull them apart, which this one's doing, stretching it. If the other teeth were in, it would grab the piece of metal and it would drag it together, which would shrink it. So on this panel, we need stretch. And why we need stretch is right in this area, slightly high. So that this tool, we're going to feed it in this way. It's going to grab down in the metal and it's going to pull it apart. And as it's pulling it apart down here, it's going to take this and drag it down with it. If we wanted to curve up, we would actually shrink it, and it would gather this metal together, puckering it together and bringing it up. So let's see what this does. Little bump, see that? You go right on, all the work is done right on the edge. Just that little bit. So we'll give it a fit and see how it fits. This has to be joggled in a little bit, like I said, but much better with those two little steps. Light, very light pressure. Stretch that edge, and it's sunk. Stretch that edge sunk this whole high spot down. It's already much better. Let's take a look down the side of it. Okay. So yeah, we just need to jog it in a little bit. Sharpen that line up. Should be good as good. Really good. So next step is to use this simple tool right here. It's called a scribe. We're literally going to take it. We're going to go. We don't want to go back and forth. We want to do a one pull. Okay. So let's get this set here. And I just all that's doing is scratching into the metal. Very fine line. But a very faint line into this panel. Right on the edge. Flange area. TIG welding. Tighter you can get the panel to fit, easier it is to finish. Easier it is to weld. Not only finish, but finish welding. All right, so let's pull it off so you can see the scribe line. If you look really closely now, right in here, you see that really shiny line. Shiny line. A good trick too is either to use Dicom, which is a dyeing process, or you can use it like a Sharpie, a heavy Sharpie. Fill it all in, and then when you scribe, you can see the line a little bit easier. In this case, I can see the line pretty clear. I mean, the metal is has that acid wash on it, so it's a little yellow, coppery kind of look right now from the acid. So I can see exactly where this needs to be cut. So we could trim that off. So actually, what I'm going to do next, before I trim it, we're going to put this back on. We're going to get these things called Cleco tabs, and we're going to mount them from here to here, so then we know when we set this back on place, it's going to go back to where it is. Because once we cut the metal out underneath this, there's nowhere to Cleco that back in. So those Clecos are going to live on this panel, and then the Cleco tab is going to connect this panel to that panel. So we have a true fitting panel. So we just trim it and cut it. It's going to be like a little like it'll go where it needs to go, but you might fight it here and there, and you want it to be as true as possible. Next up, we've got these. These are called Cleco tabs. These are made by a gentleman named Mike Wagner, very respected metal shaper in the industry. He owns Cornfield Customs. Get them directly from him. These are very precise laser cut tabs, nice and thick. So what's going to happen here is I'm going to remove this Cleco. It's going to go into one of these holes, right? And it's going to bridge over to the next panel. I'm going to drill a hole, Cleco that in. When this piece of metal is removed and underneath is cut out, all the rot is all cut away. There's nowhere for this Cleco to go anymore. It's just only going to connect to the top surface. So by putting this tab in, you're bridging both panels together and making sure it always lines up to where it needs to be. So like I said, if you're interested in these, go on Instagram, Cornfield Customs, Mike Wagner's always on his page. Great product. Check it out. So tabs are in. See that there's two. There's actually 4 holes if you want to make it really secure. Yeah, you can use the 2. I do it all the time. I do use the 4 holes when I want something really tight and really precise. I'm not saying that it won't be precise. It's still going to true up. It's going to still true up on that line and be very true. All right, next step is to remove the Cleco tabs. Sometimes if you're lucky, you can just sneak them out. A little pressure. Yeah, so it'll stay attached to this panel. Just easier setup after on the panel, so you can go right on when we cut this area. next step, cut off wheel. I'm going to use this cut off wheel tool, cut this panel out, very important. Make sure you have your safety glasses on, some gloves. Let's get to it. Hello. Holes cut. You cannot weld in this condition. This will cause very poor welding. So this is kind of like undercoating tar type material from the factory. So we have to scrape. We're going to torch all this up, scrape it out, clean really good, and then come back on the other side, and we're going to go right to the edge with a special grinding disc and clean right up to that line that I scribed, and the panel should fit perfect. All right, new tool alert. So I got this new diamond abrasive disc. It's supposed to be, let's see what it's called, 3-in-1 diamond grinding wheel. It's supposed to be able to grind with the face, the edge, and the back side if you wanted to like lift up on a panel like this. If you want to get in between and lift up and bring the metal, cut the metal back. So we're gonna give it a shot. We're gonna clean up the rest of this edge and make sure it's all right to the line, nice and tight for the weld. Let's give it a go. I mean, right off the bat, the blade looks still brand new, and it's eating this metal for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So far, so good. I don't know if you caught that, but I went in on the edge, and it went right through, no hesitation whatsoever. Man, that's really good. That made for like super light work on this metal, and this is probably thicker than your average metal on new cars. Well, not probably, definitely thicker. But yeah, check it out. 3-in-1 diamond disc. So I like to go back in with the file, get this line true, clean. I go almost up to the line with the grinder, come back in with the file, get it super tight, and have the panels butt up to each other like, you know, super tight. Makes for easy welding and easier finishing at the end. It's not extremely time consuming. Seems like it would be, but this eats right through the metal. And like I'm saying, it's tiny. It's like a 16th that I get that up to that line. So once I get knocked that out, I'm gonna come back in with the round file on the edges, and should be good to go. little bit more with the diagram. I could go a little bit closer up here. Regular, if that was a regular roll off disc, that probably after cutting this would probably be almost dead. That's, I don't know how long that's going to last. Apparently they last forever, so we'll see. All right, so next step is to test fit it, see if there's any spots in here that are touching or too tight or too loose. So like I said previously, I left these clamped on, and now we're gonna be able to just lay it on and clamp it right to where it was. See what we got. So right away we're showing slightly tight. First fitment, it's pretty close, but we're showing a little tight. So we're gonna go in with the scribe again. All the areas that are showing slightly tight, we're gonna go in, scribe them a little bit more, and shape them down. This is where the die is important. If I had die on here, it would show exactly, you know, like when you're grinding and stuff and you're trying to find a line with your glasses on. It's probably not the best way, but yeah, we'll get it done. Nice and tight. Nice and tight in there. Okay. A little tight up top. Here. This is what I was concerned about originally. So we'll pull that back off now. Shave those areas up. Okay. Blaster back on. This. So we are pretty good there. Pretty good there. A little fat right in here. Let's see if we use that tool to sneak that in there. All right, so there you have it. Panels fit. Next step would be to clean the inside of both panels, clean them really well, and get them ready for the TIG welding process. You can see here the light line is true. Everything fits nice. Next video, we'll get this all TIG welded in, ground down, metal finished, but that's for next time. Stay tuned. Alex 66 out.